Welcome back to Slash and Slay, the top-rated podcast of horror/thrillers in the United States. Today's slashy film will be The Girl with Red Hair, written and directed by our spectacular guest of today, Paulina Figueroa. Hi! Very excited to be here. Very excited to have you here. I've had the privilege to see the film early, and let me tell y'all, it is mind-twisting. My specialty is laying back and really understanding thriller and horror films. I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you. Tell me, how did your production skills develop during this film, The Girl with Red Hair? Well, when I first started this project, I had to go through many processes. This included writing, planning, and even drawing. From the beginning, I had some experience. Way back in 8th grade, I had a great technology class where I learned how to Photoshop, edit, animate, and even create video games, which was really cool, by the way. I say this really helped me for future classes such as this class, AICE Media Studies. When this project was first introduced to me in class, I had already learned more previous skills to this, but I also learned a lot more tips and lessons throughout completing this project. Okay. So what was your process during planning and research? The basics. Yeah, during the research part, I mostly gathered inspiration from iconic movies such as Carrie, both the 1976 and 2013 version. By the way, one of my all-time favorite films. I would honestly say that this particular movie really stuck to me and gave me ideas for tropes, sequences, all that throughout the film. I love that. Yeah, and for the planning part, I jotted down whatever was in my head at the moment, all kinds of ideas just flowing in and out. Different camera angles, songs, camera movements, what the characters do and speak. This was just my opportunity to show my original ideas and then later sculpt them into an actual film opening. Ooh, were all your ideas put together for the film, or did some not make the cut? Yeah, not all of them made it, sadly. I just wanted to show a specific part of the film. I rendered backstories and motives more important than my other ideas, Yes. And did you collab or get ideas from someone else? I know that this was all you by yourself. I guess what I'm asking is if you had some help from others rather than yourself. Yes, I actually did get some advice from my AICE Media Studies teacher. He always gives me the best advice when I'm stuck. I'm really lucky to have him as a teacher. When I came for him for advice, he gave me tips on how to improve. For example, one of my clips was awkwardly too long, and once he pointed it out, I did notice and corrected it to make it more natural. He was also the person who gave me the idea for the flashbacks, when the main character is in a fit of rage and it cuts in and out of the past and what is happening in the present. The timing of the flashbacks were all me, but the spark came from him, which I really think escalated the overall ending in my opinion. I did notice the flashback sequence. Honestly, my eyes were glued to the screen the first time. It really blew me away. How did you manage to create that entire piece? It was amazing. I'm sure you worked really hard. Thank you. I did work really hard considering I used Adobe Premiere Pro. I was not a frequent user of the software before, but I had used it a handful of times. At first, I did only use softwares like Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. They're easier to handle. But little by little, I became familiar with using Adobe Premiere Pro, which was a good thing because it is way better than using a small editing software, for example, CapCut. I have been a victim of that, yes. I have also found that small softwares like that are not a great choice if you want to do a big project such as this one. I found that Adobe Premiere Pro suited me best because it allowed me to fully have control of every little clip and how I wanted it to be. Yeah, considering this was an 8-week project, I understand if you needed a more advanced software to handle what you were trying to achieve. But did at any point during this, did you have trouble or have minor setbacks with the technical aspect of the project? Unfortunately, yeah. I had a little problem on how to create a zoom. I was determined to make a dramatic zoom because I thought it would be impactful to the story. One problem is that I didn't know how to do it. So I looked up tutorials step by step. I followed a video from website Storyblocks, which was really helpful. It showed me what to press, what effect to add to the clip, step by step. I loved the end result, and I feel like it really captured the essence and the rage the main character was feeling at the moment. You know how the mean girl blocks her out and pushes her in the trash? Yeah, I wanted to add a zoom because I felt like it represents how the anger bottled up is starting to come out all at once. On the topic of zooming, I wanted to bring up all the other camera angles and movements that were incorporated into the film opening. First of all, they were amazing. How did you manage those? OMG, yes. Camera angles and camera movements are so important to the story. Thank you for bringing it up. So we studied camera angles and movements a lot in class. I was actually very excited to use them in my project. I favored over-the-shoulder shots, zooms, pans, and tracking shots. The over-the-shoulder shots were my way of showing how the main character is a little creepy. The way she's following the mean girl gives off a little stalker vibes. And she is literally stalking her behind a tree when I did the zoom, which I think was one of my favorite parts. I also really liked the idea of tracking shots to show when a character is walking away, because it doesn't tell the audience nor the actual character who or what is behind them, like an element of surprise. Yes, I noticed that the slow pan up to show the main character picking up the bracelet, and the zoom behind the tree, it was incredible. I was blown away by that shot. Thank you so much, but it was not only the camera movements and angles that affected the film meaning. The lighting and shadows paint a picture that tells more than words. I am sure you remember the beginning, how the screen is all green. I say this added clues as to what kind of person the main character is. It tells the audience that she's a little weird and creepy in the first scene of the mean girl and her friend. The sun is serving as sort of a backlight to create a silhouette of them, I love the amount of detail you put into this project alone. I can only imagine the process of choosing the location, props, and the cast. To be honest, it wasn't that difficult. Even though the setting and location is important, I knew from the start that a public place would put more of a risk and danger to the main character, regarding the film. I chose Payne Park because of the open space that surrounds the actual park. The most important prop was the bracelet. It was the catalyst that set off the chain of events. Everything that led to the end where the main character kills the girl. I also wanted to give a shout out to my supporting ladies, Milagros Aguchi and Yosandi Gomez Mujica. They were the first people I asked to be part of my project and said yes. They brought this project to life, and I'm so thankful for them. Well, I don't have any more questions. I just want to say I really enjoyed your time and your awesome film. I really hope we can see more of you and your spectacular ideas come to life. I loved the impact it had on the film industry. Thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed coming here. I loved your company and the opportunity to share everything on this film. Well, that concludes this episode. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for my next episode. Don't forget to follow along for more spooky film interviews. Until next time, good night.